There are about 15,000 varieties of cacao. The high-yielding varieties contain astringent phenolic acid, which makes the plant more resistant to parasites. But the acid also makes the cacao less aromatic and bitter. The finest cacao for making chocolate is Criollo. It has an intense aromatic bouquet, a creaminess, and a soft sweetness.
Venezuela really has a very huge diversity of Criollo beans. What is Criollo beans? Criollo cacao is a very ancient cacao that is very precious, is very rare.
Less than 0.1% of the world's harvest of cacao beans is Criollo. It's considered to be the finest and the rarest and the most delicate cacao. It also has the most rounded flavor profile. Criollo is an heirloom variety of cacao that can be traced back to the Maya and the Aztecs. Because it's so difficult to cultivate and the yield is so low, most farmers have stopped growing it and the variety was almost lost. Fortunately, there are a few growers in Latin America who are determined to protect and rejuvenate this rare and most delicate cacao bean. Gianluca set up what he calls the Criollo Project.
The Hacienda San José is really some kind of unique environment where we put some kind of heirloom cacao that became some international treasure, and everybody, I mean chocolate lovers, really want to visit the Hacienda because it's the only Hacienda in the world with such a great diversity of Criollo cacao.
Domori partnered 50-50 with the Francesi family and established a 450-acre plantation in Venezuela. It's set among the trees that produce mangoes, papaya, and mahogany. But the most interesting undertaking at the Hacienda is the recovery of 7 different varieties of Criollo.
So happened in '94, I met for the first time the Francesi family, that they have a very large history, back to 1830 in cacao trading. And I share with them this dream. My dream was, get people know the Criollo potential, get the Criollo flavor, and of course at that time was just a dream.
They set up an agreement with cooperatives and private growers to help preserve the biodiversity of these varieties. They make the beans available to chocolate producers throughout the world. They also use these vintage beans to make their own chocolate.
Like in every kind of ingredients, you have to start from the farm. So let's say farm and factory are really combined together to perform the best result.
Cacao is an evergreen plant that becomes productive in its 3rd year of life and reaches a maximum productivity around the 5th year. The flowers are produced in clusters directly on the trunk and older branches and are pollinated by teeny flies. The fruit is called the cacao pod. As it ripens, it adopts various colors and shapes. The ripening takes from 4 to 6 months, and they are harvested twice a year. The pods are cut in half with a machete. Inside, there are from 20 to 60 seeds called cacao beans. The beans are covered by a sugary white pulp. Once the cacao beans are harvested, they're collected and put inside wooden crates. The crates are held in dark rooms with a high humidity.
And you leave the cacao beans inside with the juice according to the different varietals. Could be 3 days till 7 days to ferment.
The low oxygen levels and the low pH levels cause the sugary pulp that covers the beans to start fermenting. The cacao beans become sweet and dark. During that time, the mass is shifted around. The shifting prevents the formation of any mold. It's a crucial step. This is the point where all the potential aroma develops. The acidity and the bitterness of the cacao beans are reduced. It is the technique that determines the final quality of the raw materials that are going to be processed into chocolate. To stabilize the beans and to stop the fermentation process, the beans are dried. The drying process can take up to 15 days, depending on the weather conditions. Usually they're spread out on mats and dried by the sun. If it rains, they are covered and protected from the humidity. When the beans reach a humidity of about 7%, they're collected and packaged inside jute bags. Each bag weighs about 60 kilos. It's about 130 pounds. Then they are shipped to Italy for processing. Controlling the entire production process is essential.